And you know, one other thing I want to acknowledge is the fact that I am really proud of the American people, minorities specifically, because what we saw, like Ken Jong, LeBron James, Boris Kojo, Matt Barnes, Beyonce, Cardi B, Glorilla, Usher, they all were trying to say why Kamala Harris is the best option. And I am proud of the fact that we woke up, did our own research, realized, yeah, they're saying this one thing, but we're living this, and understanding that they're so far disconnected from the elements of us, the middle class. Like, I'm so glad that we did not pay attention to them.
It's looking easy to take. We not afraid. We put the fear in their bones. Ain't no more running away. They tryna trace. They tryna follow our steps. They tryna copy the wave. Boy, that's so lame. That's why they keep getting curved. You gotta stay in your lane. They wanna claim that we not giving them work. Like this is minimum wage.
Music licensing reimagined.
Now that you open the cage, nobody's.
What's poppin', family? Welcome back to another episode of the Limitless Reaction of the Limitless Podcast. Look, first of all, just want to thank y'all for stopping in, checking out the video. If this is your first time watching, all we ask that you leave a comment and also like the video. Let us know what you think about the content. Let us know what you want to see us react to. Now, if this is your second time, third time coming back, thank you. The algorithm brought you back for a reason, and you have to be rocking with us for some reason. So go ahead and hit that little white button at the bottom. Go ahead and subscribe and become a part of the community and become a part of the content that we're creating. And you also let us know what you want us to see, or what you want to see from us, because we want your voices to be heard, and know that what you think matters. So, look, today, if you've been sleeping under a rock, or if you didn't vote this way, Donald Trump won the election, or he is projected to win the election. Some agencies haven't called the election because they haven't called particular swing states, even though there are enough votes in, but whatever. But yeah, so Donald Trump won the election, and of course the left, the liberal media, is going to lose their mind. And I saw some of it last night, but I wanted to react to it in full today. But before we get to the video, I just want to thank everybody that got out there, let your voice be heard, and vote. Even if it didn't go your way, it's still the fact that you exercised your right that our ancestors worked so hard for us to be able to have. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Let's see what they're talking about.
That Donald Trump will become the 47th president of the United States.
The former president's comeback will be complete with a win in Wisconsin.
How extraordinary. It is the greatest comeback in modern political history.
It really
to find
was.
An example of it,
like the comeback was.
Don't have one this century. You don't have one last century. You got to go back to the century before that, when they had the 18 in front of
and
the years that were being counted
If
down.
that doesn't say something,
Now,
like,
there are many
Democrats
images,
really need
many
to wake
stories,
up and realize
many things
that.
to tell you.
I'm sorry, Democrats really need to wake up and realize that they need to address the needs of the people or address the needs of the public and the people that voted them into office. And I feel like they've really strayed away from that, because at the end of the day, the American people have told you that Trump is not going to be a viable campaign solution to run for the presidency. And I feel like it says one thing, that they labeled him as a fascist, a neo-Nazi, a racist, but yet you see that all he surrounded himself with is people that are contradictory to that. Vivek Ramaswamy, Tulsi Gabbard, sorry. What's the congressman out of Florida? I'll post this photo here, but I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I see his face. And Elon Musk, I don't see what they have tried to perpetuate for us. Because initially I was an independent voter. I didn't really know where I was going to lean, but I saw division from the side that kept saying that the Republicans were divisive. So, but I digress.
About many things that you've watched happen all the way through the day. And I've done my best to play that straight news bat because, as I said, all day long, you don't want to rub people's face in it. That's not cool. It's not okay. You've got to be a good winner because you've got to be paying attention to the people who are feeling the loss. But we've got to soak the moment in as well. This is an incredible moment in history. It is an incredible victory for people who had been ignored, who had been called garbage, who had been told that their views were not in polite society any further.
And also people that have been told that if you don't vote for him, you're not black. So it's amazing the blatant racism that we are willing to overlook. It is astonishing, but whatever.
And they roared. And these were the same people who 4 years ago sacked Donald Trump. The same people in the same swing states who have now rehired Donald Trump. And in an evening of extraordinary images, a campaign of images, when I think we all felt exactly the same thing, July 15 Australian time, that when the bloke got shot, his reaction was not to crumble, but was to fight, fight, fight.
That was
and
the
his call
defining
all the way
moment.
through the campaign was fight, 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 vote, 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 and now he gets to say win, win, win. You need to have a look at this photo because this is going to be one for the history books. This is a photo of the exact moment Donald Trump returned to the presidency. He's backstage, waiting to go on stage at his supporters in Florida.
3 o'clock
his son
in the morning.
took the photo as he's watching on to the numbers being counted and then the result being declared.
I was watching DeVory Dawkins. Or Dawkins, I can't remember his last name.
Before us,
I'll link him in
have
the video.
An insight into the most personal of moments is a perfect example about, in many ways, the open book that is Donald Trump and is his candidacy. At times it can be ugly to read. At times it can be difficult to read. At times it doesn't make a lot of sense. But it's always an open book. And the idea that this was not some sort of filtered special image that was curated by a campaign. It was a son who took a photo of his father fighting back to the place where he will now lead the free world. I find it unbelievable. And as we were sitting back watching all of it happen, the inevitability coming minute after minute, state after state, hour after hour, in lefty land, where they thought there was no chance,
for the race to be called
where this was the basket of deplorables, when this was the people who had been run out of town, to see them coming back, not quite coping.
If you want big paychecks, you've got to solve big problems. And I'm going to tell you what the biggest problem in real estate is right now. Pretty obvious, but
I think when it's all said and done, what you're going to see is a huge divide over people who are college educated and not college educated.
Black voters came through for Kamala Harris. White women voters did not. Pure Project 2025 in miniature in Florida. And that kind of extreme, sort of extremist, right-wing, fascist type government in Florida. Does that make it a more attractive place?
Thinking about the people who are not a part of anybody's elite, who are hurting tonight. There are African-American women who know a little bit about being talked down to.
What about the African-American women that voted
having their
for
economic
Trump?
dreams crushed?
The African-American men that voted for Trump.
A big dream over the past couple of months. And tonight they're trading in a lot of hope for a lot of hurt.
Whatever, Van Jones.
And that may be true. Certainly for African-American women. The idea that there was on the verge of a potential first female presidency and a first female president of colour. I get it, okay? And what I'm saying is not about those people. But the reality is that in many ways, the people who they turn to for information have lied to them.
Thank you.
Have lied to them about the chances of what was happening in this election. The New York Times polls that we've talked about, day in and day out, when you actually dug into the detail, 80% of people had made their decision about what they were going to do in the American election months ago. So it didn't matter what happened with the comedian at Madison Square Garden. It didn't matter necessarily whether Trump had a good day on the trail or a bad day on the trail. They had made their choice.
People had made their choice because they didn't want to experience
the government
another
that they
4
hired
years
to replace
of what they
Donald
have
Trump
currently experienced on this
did
administration.
not deliver for them. They saw a man who, whether many people like it or not, was a man who had been tested over and over again.
Facts.
From
kept fighting
courtroom to the media not even treating his candidacy as one that deserved to be listened to about what he was promising. Like every day, and I've been diving deep into this for months, every day he would make an announcement about, say, no tax on Social Security. Then you turn on the American news or you try to find things in the paper about it. No mention. Just a silly comment that was made by someone somewhere else, because there's no possible way that Donald Trump would be able to have a message that anyone would want to hear. But of course they did. As for Trump, when he eventually took the stage, I think the best part of 2 o'clock in the morning, he took to the stage and he got rid of the teleprompter. He was surrounded by his family, who he loves the most, and of course the supporters who built a coalition around him that I'm going to talk about a bit tonight. Because when the left wins, they talk about how clever everyone was, and when the right wins, they think that there's some sort of, aberration or cheat or a mistake that's been made.
But you can't say that now because he won the electoral.
I'll get to that in a second. But some of the stuff that happened in the speech, just a little longer than you may well hear in other places. Here's an example of him talking
the Democrats
about
really need to go back to their base and really
coalition
figure
that
out
stretches from, say, a Robert F. Kennedy all the way through to the boss of the UFC.
That's it. The American people
His
just told you
campaign
this
has
is
been
enough.
so historic in so many ways. We've built the biggest, the broadest, the most unified coalition. They've never seen anything like it in all of American history. They've never seen any young and old, men and women, rural and urban. And we had them all helping us tonight, when you think.
And remember when he was shot and he was going to give his speech at the Republican National Convention? It was all about, has he changed? Well, yeah, he has. Because like every human being who goes through life, what happens to you changes you.
Facts.
And think about it. Millimeters from dying.
Bring up January 6th. While it was a dark day in American history, we cannot act like when he won in 2016 that liberals, progressives did not go crazy in liberal cities.
Over the last 4 years. Inflation, which was so high during much of this administration, and many people are still feeling the pain of that.
Facts.
Exit polls show voters listed the economy as a major issue. Harris also underperforming in key areas.
Where she's coming up short are in the cities.
Even struggling in blue strongholds like New York and Virginia, despite a massive campaign blitz from major Democratic stars. Harris also came up short with key minority groups. According to exit polls, Latino men favoring Trump by a 10-point margin after backing President Biden by 23 points 4 years ago.
See, now that right there. That right there should tell you something. That there isn't a... So I had a friend tell me that there are... I don't want to mischaracterize it. It was like, what do you say? All right, he essentially said that there's a voter disparity, and as people of color, we always have to fight to get our voice heard. Look, this is my thing. Black people tend to be low propensity voters historically. I hope they bring up a poll talking about among black men, but look at this. It's hard for you to say that it's hard for our voice to be. It's hard for people's voice to be heard, or people of color's voice to be heard, because in 2020, Biden had 59% of the Latino man's vote. I can guarantee, with the border being as open as it is. No, I wouldn't even say that. Let's just say this is status quo, right? 59% voted for Biden in 2020. 44% voted for Harris in 2024. You can't tell me there is a disparity or a difficulty for our voice to be heard. It's just clearly that they did not prefer Harris because, once again, all we hear is that Trump is bad. Like, that is the majority of what her rallies have been talking about. And like I said, it comes to a point where Americans aren't dumb and black people aren't dumb. We aren't a monolith. We're able to think for ourselves. And at the end of the day, sometimes one thing doesn't look like the other. And if you keep saying all these disparaging, he's a fascist, a racist, a neo-Nazi, but yet everything we're seeing to that is counterintuitive. I mean, hell, I went to a Trump rally, and it was one of the most welcome events I've ever been to here in Texas. So you can't say that there's a disparity, and there's a disparity in regards to the ability of our voice to be heard.
Go. Democrats now face an uphill battle.
And we know it is time for a new generation of leadership in America.
With Harris's message clearly not resonating with enough voters, Democrats are now left trying to sort out how to turn the page now.
Yep.
Going to hear questions in terms of that Monday morning, or in this case Wednesday morning, quarterbacking among Democrats. Among the questions right now, whether it would have made better sense for President Biden after Democratic successes in the midterms in 2022 to have stepped down then. Remember, he promised to be a transitional president in the past to allow for a full primary for the Democrats to pick their candidate going forward, and perhaps to give that candidate more time to gear up for this battle with Donald Trump. The bottom line is there are so many questions, so few answers, and the Democrats have a lot of figuring out what to do next that begins.
Bro, I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like Joe Biden was like honestly, he was an asset in the Trump campaign. Like, calling people garbage, telling the view that Kamala had the essentially all the capabilities of a president in regards to the border and everything that he put her in charge of. He did not help her. And then to be caught on camera saying that he's a stronger candidate than her to Obama, it doesn't look good. There was divide within their own party. So I don't know what you can say. Like, clearly he was on decline. But hey.
Right now.
All right, Peter, thank you so much. We return to Hallie Jackson and Kristen Welker. So let's talk about that. There was going to be a lot of soul searching and hand wringing and probably some finger pointing. And let's just start where Peter brought it up. I mean, is the original sin here that Biden stayed in the race when perhaps he should have stepped aside and had an open primary, and perhaps Democrats would have had a better shot? Is that one of the lessons Democrats are talking about?
Absolutely. It's one of the things that Democrats are talking about, the timing of when he stepped aside, because remember, there was so much debate, even when he did step down in the summer, about potentially holding
he got pushed
an open
out. Don't act
Could
like
that
he
have
willingly
made Vice
did that.
President Harris a stronger candidate if she were the one who had emerged at the top of the ticket after a robust primary process? And also that condensed period of campaigning deprived her, I think, of the long runway that a typical candidate has to really lay out what they see their vision as if they were to win office.
I mean, Trump winning the popular vote right now, the map looks almost all red. And there were a lot of things the Harris campaign was counting on. They were counting on a lot of women coming out. Yeah. They were probably counting on a lot of minorities coming out. A lot of them did come out, but many of them came out for Trump.
That's right. And not enough of them came out for her. I spoke with one person close with her, I want to say 12 hours before polls closed, maybe it was 18 hours before polls closed, who said, listen, I think we are going to see less of an underperformance with Black and Latino voters than people are predicting here because of what they had been seeing. That was simply not the case, right? Because we see it in these exit polls and we see it in the results in these counties after county where you've seen, very blue in 2016, less blue in 2020, red in this year in places like Texas, right? Some of these heavily Latino counties in parts of Texas here. What's so interesting, and Savannah and Hoda, we talk about this, and you've said this on other contexts and other nights, is having a bit of humility here. And I do think that as journalists, political pundits out there, et cetera, there will have to be a reckoning inside the Democratic Party, but we don't yet fully know what that looks like, right? I think we can sense the contours of it, that is going to have to exist, but it could go in a lot of different directions because there are some takeaways that I think Democrats are having to process at this moment. You also look at people who are showing up to vote for the first time. And remember, these first-time voters, they broke for Joe Biden 4 years ago. They broke for Donald Trump this year. So there's something about the Democratic messaging, the Democratic candidate, obviously that didn't work.
And what's so notable as well.
Believe him, take him at his word.
We act like there's no checks and balances.
The audience couldn't help but laugh at
like there aren't three branches of government.
And I guess Bill Maher's going to lose his show now, isn't he? That's what they were talking about. And in recent days, we even had the ladies of The View not just backing Kamala, but they were picking her attorney general for her. And of course, they pick the irredeemably awful rhino warhawk, Liz Cheney.
Are you also a lawyer?
Yeah, I am.
So you could conceivably be a great AG.
Oh, God. You want warmongering Liz Cheney to be the attorney general.
Because your moral core is magnificent.
Oh, isn't that adorable? Whoopi Goldberg lecturing us about morals. I've heard it all now. But Kamala had the unique ability to make even once cool celebrities lose all credibility. She made the boss, Bruce Springsteen, sound like this.
Well, I'm just about starving tonight. I'm dying for some action.
She turned Cardi B into the world's lamest, saddest
Oh,
joke.
this was bad.
1 second, guys. 1 second.
If you need your phone to say what's from the heart, that's wild to me. That means it's not authentic. They got paid a bag. Just the money that they raised for her campaign, a lot of that went to them. Beyonce, Meg Thee Stallion, Glorilla, well, that mini-ass concert that she had. But
yikes. I can't believe that didn't convince the masses. And Kamala somehow even managed to turn the
one other thing I want to acknowledge is the fact that I am really proud of the American people, minorities specifically, because we saw like Kim Jong, LeBron James, Boris Kojo, Matt Barnes, Beyonce, Cardi B, Glorilla, Usher. They all were trying to say why Kamala Harris is the best option, and I am proud of the fact that we woke up, did our own research, realized, they're saying this one thing, but we're living this, and understanding that they're so far disconnected from the elements of us, the middle class. Like, I'm so glad that we did not pay attention to them. I really am, because even if Kamala did win, I was still gonna move on as life as usual because I've lived 4 years of it. But for y'all to just say that it's the end of democracy. First of all, we're not in a democracy. We're in a constitutional republic. The Constitution is what reigns supreme. So miss me with all that. Like, I'm just proud of us. I'm proud that we woke up and we cast our vote.
The Defense Department and NASA are going to need a new arrangement for all their rockets and for all the multi-billion-dollar contracts Elon Musk's companies have with the U.S. government. The U.S. government is going to have to either, unwind from all of those contracts, or Elon Musk's companies are going to have to unwind.
Bro, they just stoked the flames of fear. They don't even
untenable reality.
There is no fact that this stuff is going to happen.
Now
but
that
because
we know what we know,
it has the
about Elon
potential,
Musk.
or it is an option of happening, they lose their
me.
minds.
Today, Joy Reid was still delusional and claiming that Kamala had run the perfect campaign.
And so what you've seen in the last couple of weeks, if this is an audition for managing a complex organization like the United States, Kamala Harris has passed the audition flawlessly.
No.
This has been, in many ways, a perfect campaign, a brief, and she had barely any time
If
to
it
put
was
it together.
perfect,
But eventually,
she would have won.
reality sank in, and Joy Reid was back to doing what
They
she
didn't
does
run on
best,
the issues
race
important to the
baiting
American
and
public.
making wild claims, this time about Israel wanting to ethnically cleanse Gaza.
Nobody wants Donald Trump to be president more than Bibi Netanyahu, who is backed by a far-right coalition that would like to clear-cut Gaza, that would truly like to complete a complete ethnic cleansing of Gaza.
Meanwhile, Rachel Maddow was lashing out at the American public, chiding them for not realizing just how good the economy is.
The United States economy is the envy of the world. The inflation numbers, the economic growth numbers, the fiscal numbers, the U.S. standing in the world numbers are all off the charts positive. Even the freaking stock market, right? All off the charts positive.
There you have it. You're just imagining.
What about
all
the
that
inflated
economic
jobs number?
hardship. The share market
It's
is
been
up. It's all
continuously
good.
getting
Rachel
corrected, but most
said
Americans don't even
so.
know about that.
Now let's hear from a Kamala fan who saw a man in a MAGA hat and launched into this diatribe. Should be feeling it today.
He's gonna lose.
Who, Trump?
He's gonna lose.
Good.
He's empowering you racist all right? But you ain't a black gonna be in the office, and his white is gonna be out. We're taking the train.
Yet he's racist. Like, that is just so crazy to me. Like, how can you say that the Republicans are divisive when you have this as an example? Like, that's wild to me.
Cash out, loser. All right, we're in power now.
Have a nice day.
You have a wonderful day on the 5th, okay? You're gonna lose.
Okay.
And your leader, your cult leader.
Bye-bye.
You dumb.
And this next Kamala fan also has learnt an important lesson today. Don't get overconfident when you sit in a leftist echo chamber, because when reality hits, it's going to hurt.
We're gonna win. We're gonna win. I mean, not to be, cocky, but I'm optimistic.
Needless to say, y'all, look, the left. They need to get back to their base, figure out what it is that is important to their base and the people and the American public, because clearly they missed the mark. This tells you that finally, I'm glad that identity politics does not reign supreme, and this is a wake-up call. This is truly a wake-up call that the Democrats went too far left with their policies that they were trying to push. And the American people say, you know what? We tried it your way. We're going to go back to what was before. So, look, let me know what y'all think about it in the comments below. Let me know what y'all want us to react to. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And, keep tapping in with us. We're going to keep growing. And once again, thank you for those who voted. If you didn't vote, and had the ability to vote, I don't want to hear from you. You don't have any right to complain. But yeah, let's keep it rocking. Let's keep moving. Make America great again. Let's do it. Deuces, y'all.